If you hear my fan and air conditioner, sorry. It's super hot here. The weather's just horrible. It's spring and it feels like midsummer. I want to talk about PTSD rage. And I'm sorry for clearing my throat a lot. I'm having allergies and I'm trying to not cough. But if I cough, well, can't help it. PTSD rage is not like your typical anger. You know, maybe you tripped and you scuffed your favorite pair of shoes. Maybe you dropped your spoon when you're in a hurry and you're trying to make your coffee or your tea or whatever. You know, maybe somebody left just a tiny bit of ice cream and put the container away so you didn't buy more because you thought you had enough. And then you open it and there's like one bite left. And you're like, ah, damn it. You know, those moments. That's being angry. Somebody cuts you off in traffic and you're sitting there going, "Oh my god, this jerk cannot drive." Yeah, okay. You know, that's being angry. You know, when you feel like something unfair has happened to you, that's you get angry, you know, or you get sad. But PTSD rage, it's like anger that comes from a different place. It's more like it's an anger that comes from a very deep well of fear. It comes from the part of you that feels threatened and scared and backed into a corner. And what happens to me is initially I'll have the initial explosion where I will just start yelling and screaming. And it's completely irrational. And I'm aware that it's irrational, but sometimes I just can't stop it. You know, it's the metaphor of the tourniquet that's tightened around a wound because maybe you're bleeding down here and you're tightening it, controlling that brachial artery so that the blood is not going everywhere. Well, sometimes my grip on the tourniquet slips, or maybe somebody digs into the wound and cuts it worse, and then more blood can come out. And the blood is the rage. And a lot of people with PTSD are full of rage. Like, I've always been kind of a hothead of a person, but this is different. Very, very different. It's like your entire body gets encompassed by the anger when you have a PTSD rage. It's not like just a moment of, "Urgh." It's hours of, "Urgh." It is hours of that. It is hours of just, you can't stop yelling at people. The only way is to not see people. You got to get away from people because every person you see, you're going to want to just go off on them. And that's not fair to them because they didn't do anything to you. They just walked past you. But because your brain is in that place, they're a problem. And so your brain wants to eliminate the problem. So get mad, get big, get scary, make them go away. Right? Sounds logical to your lizard brain, but it's not good for relationships, is it? No. Nope. Mm-mm. There's the coughing. Um, and then after the rage, at least in my case, it's like I am empty of everything. I'm just gasoline fumes in a trench coat. And I just want to flop down on my bed and lay there with my eyes shut, listless. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with stimulation. I don't want to deal with anything. I just need to lay there and either sleep or rest, whichever. You know, if my eyes are shut, just assume I'm asleep and don't even approach me. You know, unless there's like an emergency and the house is on fire or something. But anyway. But yeah, when someone has had a rage and they're spent, it can take days to recover. I had a rage on Thursday night in the car after choir practice. Mom set me off with the thing I made the video about the other day, like yesterday, I think. So the video about my dad. But anyway, and I was screaming in the car and she was screaming at me. Which, you know, that's a natural reaction, is someone screaming at you, you scream back at them, like, what's your problem? You know, dude, what's up? What's the matter? What are you doing? Why are you yelling at me for? What did I do? And, you know, even if you haven't seen many Godzilla movies, I'm sure you've seen a clip where the military goes up against Godzilla. What happens every single time when, you know, the military shoots at Godzilla? What happens every single time? Godzilla gets mad and blows them all up. Steps on them, hits them with the atomic breath, smashes them with his tail, swipes airplanes out of the sky, you know, just total decimation. And in Godzilla -1, it really was decimation. I mean, Ginza was just a mushroom cloud. It's kind of cool, but not for the people. But, when someone is having a rage and you get in their face and you get mad back at them, you're basically shooting at Godzilla. You're angry, they're raging. It's a very different dichotomy. You're just a little tiny tank and they are Godzilla coming at you. You're not going to do anything except make it worse. So what can you do? You can encourage the person to breathe, you know, just be like, whoa, whoa, let's take a deep breath. Let's both take a breath. Even if you don't think you need one, take it. You know, because you might need it, because you will be reacting and you will have that internal reaction of, oh shit, what's going on? Even if you don't have PTSD, if someone's yelling at you, you know, we all react. And then you might want to encourage them to ground themselves, you know. Ask them, what do you see? You know, what do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell? What do you taste? You know, get them to focus on their senses. Get them to count the red things you see in the room. You know, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just found 5 red things. 6, because numbers on my iPad. 7, the little recording dot. So 7 red things. Okay, 8 if I count my pillow. So things like that. Tell them to find something blue in the room. You know, just things that will distract their mind. And they may not have any of it. They may tell you, shut up and go away. And what do? You shut up and you go away. Okay, you leave them be. You just let them deal with it. Because when I'm having a rage, when people go away, I quiet down, but when people approach me, I start up again. You know, it's like, you know, you've put out the fire, but you keep squirting gasoline. What do you think's going to happen? The embers are going to go poof. So, of course, it's going to start up again. Don't keep lighting that fuse. And you may not even have known you triggered somebody. And I mean, it's going to happen, and it's not on purpose, usually. Usually. If you're with an abuser, they will trigger you on purpose so that they can look like they're the rational one, but this isn't about that. But, you know, as long as a person is not in danger of harming themselves or others, if they say, leave me alone, the best thing you can do is just leave them alone. Let them be. Let them simmer down. Let them rest. You know, give them something to drink, like not alcohol, but like water, juice, or something. You know, if you've got like a minty, like gum, or like one of those Listerine breath strips or something, or a breath mint, you know, something that's sensory to them, that can kind of take them out of whatever memory. Because sometimes a rage can coincide with a flashback, but not always. But something to tell them, I am present here, I am not there, I am here. Things like that can help. But yelling at them and belittling them and berating them for their reaction, if it seems way over the top for something that seems so small to you, you know, they're not meaning to do it. They're not meaning to do it, and they're not having fun doing it. It's just trauma brain. And trauma brain sucks. I mean, it sucks. I have my minus Godzilla in the foreground because he is my trauma part, so he's kind of here to represent that part. And PTSD rage, just, it's not fun, and really, if you don't know what to do about it, just leave the person alone and just remove yourself. Because if you get in a fight with them, you know, you become unsafe. And I don't think you want to be unsafe to somebody that might be your bestest friend in the world or someone you love. Because that hurts. When, as the person with the trauma, me, when someone who I thought was safe is not safe anymore, that hurts. It can feel like betrayal. It really can. So anyway, PTSD rage. It's not fun, but it's survivable, but it's not fun.